so
Awesome.
much for the invitation to have me on again.
Of course, it's my pleasure. I'm very excited to talk about this. I had you in season one, one of my honorable guests,
Uh,
starting up my podcast, and now 5 seasons later, and here
five
you are.
seasons.
So this is actually season 6.
Wow. All right.
Yes. And you have been also creating a lot of good stuff. You created, well, in season 1, we talked about your musical that you wrote, and you were in the process of creating it, bringing it to life. It was just not even created. And now, a few days ago, you closed the musical.
There we go. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you very
What a,
much.
you're welcome. What a milestone. We are so proud of you. We have been, well, I have been watching you on social media how the whole process was going, and it was so amazing to see how you are going.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's definitely been a journey.
I know. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about your musical. Now that it's closed and finished the run, is there any parts of it that is still unfolding inside you?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's in a lot of ways we're just kind of at the beginning,
Yeah.
even though it's a interesting process developing a new musical because I started working on the show in 2019, was writing it and working on it for maybe about a year and a half, and then we did a staged reading of it in 2021. And I remember after that staged reading just thinking like, "Oh, okay, this is going to be a very long process." People enjoyed the show. We got some great feedback on it. We had a couple producers come out as well. So it wasn't that like anyone came to the reading and there was like they were like, "This is terrible," or anything like that. I think I just learned that it takes a lot of work to get a show to, essentially where you want it to get. And so yeah, so did the reading in 2021. We had another reading in 2022 to hear like the newer version of the show. And then we 2023, 2024, it was kind of like creating marketing materials. So we recorded demos of some of the songs. We put together a pitch deck as well. I had applied to like a handful of grants and had conversations with producers, but many producers who I was chatting with who hadn't been familiar with the show yet, they were like, "Oh, that sounds great. Let me know when you do a production of it."
Nice.
So it became clear that because essentially I was kind of doing this to find someone who would be willing to produce the workshop production, but I soon discovered that I was going to have to do it myself.
Like,
So last year was when we did our crowdfunding campaign, which you so graciously contributed to. I had put together a
okay.
producing team in place, and yeah, that got us the funding to do our workshop production this spring.
Wow, what a journey.
Yes, yes, and the journey continues. Now,
And
now
the
we're
journey continues.
now we're talking about what next steps are looking like.
Wait, what are the next steps? It's already closed. What are the next steps?
Yes. So this show that we did in April of 2026 at the Flea Theater in New York City. The Flea Theater is an incredible organization. For all you listeners out there, I highly recommend checking out the Flea. They do a lot of great shows there as well. So we did our workshop production. So this was the first time that we had the startup up on its feet. And with that came a learning process of what worked, what didn't, what landed, what we want to change in the production as well. And we were in a small theater as well. We had maybe about 50 seats in the theater. So what's great is that the show uh, sold out every night. It was a small theater, but it's still, sold out every night, which is great. So there was definitely people interested in the topic. We had a handful of producers come out as well. And now kind of the next stage is, okay, what one, I want to make a bunch of changes to the script. Two, the plan is likely to bring it to a larger theater, a larger venue. And so, we're still kind of in the process of figuring out what that looks like. So I don't have any concrete things that I could share, but I did want to emphasize that, yeah, it's still not done. Even though we closed the show, this workshop production, now we're working towards the next production of it, whatever that may end up looking like.
That sounds amazing. And one day we'll end up on Broadway
Oh, we'll see. We'll
and
see.
stay on Broadway for years.
Oh, there you go. From your
Yes,
mouth to the universe,
to the
Jada.
universe. We put it out there.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly,
why not?
exactly.
Why not?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, we'll see. I mean, I think the feedback I've been getting on the show, which has been encouraging, is that it's very timely, that the topic of the show resonates with a lot of people. And so I think there is something to be said about that. And now it's on me to just kind of make sure that I can make the show as good as it can be, in order to get to a higher level.
Absolutely. It gets polished over time, and
Yes.
you wrote the book, the lyrics, and the music.
Yes, yeah, I co-wrote the music with, my collaborator, Kevin, so we co-wrote the music together, and then I wrote the book and the lyrics for it.
The musical is about the relationship of humans with technology, right?
Yes, yes, that's really kinda like the overarching theme of it is, essentially our relationship to technology, how technology's impact on us affects our relationships to each other as well. So it's really a comment on, yeah, on technology and how it's impacting society at large.
So when did you first start noticing that the technology was changing how people were connecting to each other?
Yeah, so good question. So when I was in graduate school, I was taking an acting class. And as you know, with being an actor yourself, we were likely doing a whole bunch of weird things in the class. But what I loved about it is that, we were kind of learning how to be present, learning how to listen, kind of self awareness, communication skills. And I remember being in that class thinking, "Oh my gosh, everybody should be taking this class right now." Because what I saw outside of that class was just people glued to their screens. I would try to have conversations with people, and their attention more often than not would just be down on their smartphone, in social media, and yeah, it was tough sometimes to connect with people and to have conversations go deeper. And at that time, I had created a one-man show called Reel, Reel, that was about that. That was about essentially my relationship to the audience and how technology impacts that.
Great.
And so when I graduated from grad school, I came to New York. This was in 2017 and did the show in New York. And that got me connected to a wide variety of people in a movement called the Responsible Tech Movement, which is essentially a community of people, nonprofits that are trying to figure out how to create and design technology ethically that serves, technology that serves humanity rather than humanity serving the technology.
Yes.
So that's really kind of what kicked off my work in this space. And I kind of took a variety of detours along the way. Like I had a blog, I had a podcast for a bit on this topic. And then around 2018, 2019 was when I thought of, the idea of making this musical about this tech company that is trying to create a platform that is ethical, that is in large contrast to what we see of big tech today, but at the same time is trying to make money and trying to sustain themselves as well while protecting consumer data and privacy and all of that. So that was really the impetus behind that. And in addition to my work as a writer and an actor, I work in a field called responsible AI. So essentially creating content on how companies in my current case, but how people in general can use AI responsibly and what what are some important things that we need to keep in mind as we're developing and using AI. So I believe storytelling has a very powerful impact of being able to reach people and to raise awareness on these topics. So that was a big reason why I created this show.
So you created a show and you put it on stage. How did creating a show about digital world change your relationship with the screens?
Good question. What's funny about
Be
this
honest,
is
Patrick.
yeah, what's funny about this is that we have to, especially in the entertainment world, we have to promote ourselves. We have to promote our work. We have to get it out there. And everyone's attention is on social media. So that's where you need to do it. So it was kind of this push and pull of like, hey, I'm creating a show that's talking about how you need to be mindful about how your relationship to technology, but we're in many ways using the very tools that we're kind of critiquing in the show as well. And I think what I always try to keep in mind is that I'm not anti technology by any means. And there are some great things that come out of social media. And obviously, we're having this conversation now. We couldn't have done that without technology. So there's a lot of great things that come from it. So, but at the same time, it's important to understand the impact that it's having on ourselves as well, and to make sure that we check ourselves with regards to how much time we're spending on it, and also making sure that we're not falling down these rabbit holes of, one, comparing ourselves to others, two, falling down these echo chambers of because the social media platforms will feed you what you engage with. So because of that, that has created a lot of polarization because people are living in different digital realities. So the content I'm seeing might be completely different, or I could say is probably 95% completely different than someone who's living in rural Idaho, who might have a completely different news feed. And because of that, has a completely different reality of life, and or perception of reality rather.
Yeah.
So it's so important for that reason that we kind of understand the tricks that big tech companies are playing on us, because when we have that awareness, then we're able to make more mindful decisions about how we're using the tech.
That is so true. Because once you click, I have noticed that too, and I'm like, wait, do the walls have ears or eyes? Because I was talking about this, and now it popped on my feed. So how does this work? Because when you like research something on one of your devices, and then there comes in your Instagram feed all these related videos, is that what you are talking about? Am I
I mean,
understanding?
that's part of it. I mean, part of it is that, and that's kind of more an invasion of privacy, at least in my opinion, where our devices, whether it's our laptops, our phones, our televisions, are listening to us and our private conversations that
So
we're
is this
having.
is real?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I try to avoid reading about it too much because it's just it could cause paranoia a little bit. But yeah, they use that information to target you specific ads, which is why sometimes if you're in a conversation with someone and you're like, "Oh, I really love the new Nike shoes that came out. They're amazing. I would love to have them." And you didn't research them at all on your browser, sometimes you'll see an ad for that on your Facebook or on your Instagram. It's really wild. And on if you're looking up something on Google, for example, something you want to buy, a product you want to buy, and then you see an ad for it on social media, that's all done through cookies, which is, oftentimes you'll get those pop-ups on your screen that says, "Hey, do
Right.
you accept cookies?" And it's essentially whether or not you're giving permission for that website to share that information with other platforms, essentially.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it's a very deep rabbit hole of sorts, so to speak.
So, I mean, these are the things that you cannot avoid. We live in a society with a very developed technology, and every day we actually have more technology at our disposal, which I think if you were to think about it in a positive way, it is it enhances our life quality if you use it in your advantage. So these are the things that are happening that are not under our control. So how one can stay sane in this society filled with digital stuff and technology and still use them in their advantage,
Yeah,
in
I
your
think
opinion?
I think a lot of it is awareness and how you're using the technology as well. So being mindful that, whatever you post online could be, reshared or repurposed with or without you knowing. Now, granted, there is obviously like copyright laws around that. We're seeing a lot of issues around that with AI, especially now with regards to AI using artists' work to train their AI models. So the tough thing is that there's not a whole lot of regulation in place, especially in the United States, that holds tech companies back from doing these things. Even things that might seem completely illegal, as of now, are not. And so, as a user of technology, I think it's just important to always keep that in mind and just to be mindful of, okay, what am I posting? Why am I posting it? What is it for? What's the intention behind it? It's unlike, and as you were saying, like as the technology has gotten more advanced, it's presented more opportunities, but it's also presented more challenges as well. So I think with anything, it's all about moderation and finding that balance. But it is a very difficult slope and sort of maze to figure out like what is okay and what is kind of starting to cross into the line of like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be posting this, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And yeah, it all kind of alters our way of being as well. You see that I think that younger generation, like the Gen Z generation, there's a lot of research now that there's like they're less rebellious. They're doing things that are less risky than maybe generations prior because there's a potential fear of it ending up online or it being recorded and, then their reputation is gone, so to speak. So there are a lot of layers to this. I could kind of go on, but I think the main thing to keep in mind is just awareness around it.
It's a very good point. That is a very good point. Do you think that people are mostly addicted to attention or just to be seen?
Good question. I in some ways I think they're one and the same. I think that people crave attention. We kind of live in this attention economy, so to speak, where tech companies are fighting for our attention and they're able to do so. They're able to get our attention with like likes and comments and all of that. I think uh, as humans, we crave that dopamine rush of getting like, oh, a comment or oh, so many people liked this because we like to see that our work or our existence, especially nowadays, is validated. And I think sometimes it begs this question of what is the value of an experience if it's not shared? And I think it's important that we take a step back and recognize that, okay, experiences that we have, even if they're not shared on social media, even if they're not put online, still have an immense amount of value. And so again, I think it's just this constant reminding ourselves of, okay, don't get lost in the algorithm of social media, because it could be just this vicious whirlpool that you could get sucked in if you're not mindful about escaping it, or not mindful about checking yourself with regards to it, and being like, okay, I'm putting something out there, not necessarily because I want to be seen. Well, of course, yes, that would be nice, but putting it out there to because you have something to say as an artist, or you have something you want to share as an artist. That's easier said than done, because as humans, to your point, we want to be seen. And I think it's that it requires a lot of introspection of figuring out what brings us joy, what brings us happiness overall. And yeah, I think a healthy exercise in happiness of like, and detaching yourself from the results of something that you put out in the world. And
Hmm.
I've certainly have learned that, with regards to just different things that I've written, is like just learning to accept that the art that you put in this world is good enough for you. And that in a lot of ways it's for you. Yes, it's also for other people, but you can't control how other people are going to respond to it. So yes, long story short, I think there is that need for attention, that desire for attention. Uh, but I think we also need to find a deeper meaning behind the things that we decide to share with the world, or the art that we decide to share with the world.
Do you think social media change you or reveal you?
Ooh, good question. I think it depends on how you use it.
Could you
I know,
elaborate?
yeah, well, I know there's that saying that when you make when people make a lot of money, it either no matter who the type of person you are, it reveals more of who you are.
True.
So if you're a good person with a lot of money, it's going to set you up to do a lot of great things. And then if you're a bad person who has a lot of money, that's usually not a very good combination for the world.
Yes.
So when it comes to social media, I think that there's something always to keep in mind, and that is that there's a performative nature to it. That when we are posting, whether it's an image or whether it is a video, because of that act that we're on camera, there is we could still be authentically 100% ourselves. Like, that I imagine, we'll have a clip of this on social media and everything, and you and I right now aren't being ourselves. But there's a difference to that, of like having this type of conversation, than like, to take a detour, I always think it's so funny when you see those videos on social media and people are like describing their day. They show themselves like waking up and like
God.
pouring themselves, like brushing their teeth and everything. And it's funny, sometimes I'll see people post videos like that make fun of that, of like showing them setting up the camera and then tucking themselves in the bed and then like waking up and everything. So it's like there's like I think it's important to always keep in mind that there's always this performative nature to what's
Mhm.
happening on social media, and it's like it's a spectrum as well. So there's people who are waking up in bed and setting up the camera to do that. That's probably from a scale of 1 to 10, a 10. Whereas a conversation you and I are having right now, like I could see us having this conversation off camera where it would just be us talking about this at a coffee shop or something like that. So maybe it might be more like a 1 or a 2.
Right,
So, but to get
right.
back to your question, I think it has the opportunity to reveal the great parts about ourselves, while also tapping into and manipulating the darker parts of ourselves as well. Social media is one of the biggest mixed bags out there. It really is. Like, you figure out um uh the perfect example of something that is good and bad. Social media is like top of my list for that. And depending on the person, some people uh might feel that it leans one way or the other. I probably lean a little more towards bad than good, but there's a lot of people who can't sing enough praises about social media.
Right.
So yeah, so I think that it has the opportunity to reveal more of who you are, just keeping in mind not to let it tap into the negative parts of ourselves as well.
That is very wise. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's something that affects all of us as
I
well,
know.
and, I have my own sort of trials and tribulations with social media and relationship with social media myself.
For sure. Do you think that we quietly sacrifice something for in exchange for like digital validation?
Yes. Yes, I do. I think that for this seeking digital validation, I think steals a little part of ourselves of being present in the moment. Um, Depending on the person, it could vary with different degrees. I mean, there's a lot of research now about, especially with like youth and teenagers who spend a lot of time on their screens, it's
Yeah.
detrimental for them. Whereas someone who's, like ourselves, many years in our careers and everything, where we could kind of check it a little bit more. And check, what I mean by check ourselves, not
Right.
necessarily check social media more.
Yes.
I always say that, so for I didn't get an Instagram for a long time. I didn't get a smartphone for a long time, and then I essentially, eventually pulled the trigger, and I was in it with everyone else. What I've said many, like, sometimes will say is that I would love to someday get the privilege of having millions of followers on Instagram or social media, so that then I could not have social media.
Wait, say that again. You want to have 1 million followers?
It would be awesome someday to have 1 million, couple million, several million followers on social media someday, so then you could have the privilege of completely deleting your social media. Essentially, what I mean by that is that right now, we are kind of in a spot where, especially being actors and artists, where we almost feel like we need to have social media, because that's where a lot of the casting directors look. That's where a lot of producers and directors are looking and spending their time. Um, and so because of that, we feel like, or at least I feel like, we need to have a presence on social media of some kind. And if I had it my way, I would not be on social media. But because I'm in this industry, there's so many competing things at the same time. Because I'm in an industry where, like, I need to be seen, and whether that's like my own uh flaw or what have you, but as an actor, as a writer, as an artist, in order to be able to have any semblance of a career in this industry, you do need to garner attention. And where is everyone's attention? Everyone's attention is on social media.
Right.
But if you're at the point where you have millions of followers, you don't necessarily have to be on social media, because you already have that attention. You don't have to build an audience on social media. So that's why you have celebrities, like Ed Sheeran, who I don't think he even has a phone, You have Scarlett Johansson doesn't have social media. A lot of big name celebrities don't have social media because they say, "Hey, if I was on social media, it would just be detrimental to my mental health."
Right.
But they have the careers and they have the audience that they don't need social media to have a sustainable career. So, for someone like, myself who, yes, I've been fortunate to be involved in projects. We've done projects together, which has been incredible. I still need other work to support that artistic income. So I can't do that full time. So because of that, as an artist, feel like I still need to garner attention, in order to be able to create a career that I want to have someday. And it's this interesting mix of knowing that as artists we need the attention, while at the same time creating art that is as void from that as possible. It's this crazy dichotomy that, like, you try to find balance for that, just kind of contradicts each other in a lot of ways. But yeah, yeah. It's
No,
interesting.
that is absolutely true. That was beautifully explained.
Yeah, it's like it like social media is great in many ways because it has allowed access to for people who wouldn't have gotten access otherwise. There's people who shine on social media that have led to really incredible opportunities for them. And so that in a lot of ways is kind of the allure of social media.
Right.
Um, and then on the flip side of the same coin, there's you see, people committing suicide because of their relationship to social media. So
Yes.
yeah, it's a really kind of complicated thing to unravel.
For sure. I think it takes certain amount of emotional awareness and knowing thyself first before engaging in this kind of social media, not to be affected by them in
Yes.
a negative way. Once you're
Yes.
grounded in your own truth and yourself, then you can go and just, you
Yes.
know,
Oh my gosh, Shada, yeah, couldn't have said it better myself that, when you know yourself, that that eliminates, I believe, a lot of the issues that come with social media. When you
yes,
have a confident grounding of who you are as an individual, and yes, of course, we're always growing, we're always learning more things about ourselves. But when as we grow as adults, and have a better understanding of who we are and what we want to be doing with our time and who we want to be with and spend time with and all of those things, you're much less manipulative than someone who may be younger and doesn't really have an idea of who they are or what they want to pursue or what they want to do with their lives. And it could be very easy to mold and manipulate someone like that. And that's where the dangers come in. So yeah, I
absolutely.
couldn't have said it better myself that when the deeper understanding you have of yourself, that is like a shield against the negativities of social media. And then when you have that shield, you're able to leverage the positives of social media that much easier.
Absolutely. And emotional maturity.
Yes. Oh, that's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
No, good stuff. Very good stuff.